Another time, ikhwani, is when the last third of the night descends. Okay, so when the last third of the night remains in the depths of the night, let's say an hour before, approximately an hour before Salatul Fajr. Okay, and so remember that the night, it begins at Maghrib. Remember that the night doesn't begin at Salatul Isha, it begins at Maghrib. That's when the night begins. And so you can calculate, for example, from the Maghrib until the Fajr, let's say it's 12 hours. Okay, so let's divide that into thirds. So 4 hours, 4 hours and 4 hours. So in the last 4 hours of the night, this is when dua is more likely to be accepted, especially before just in the last part of the night. Okay, so we know from the sunnah that in the last third of the night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He descends. Allah Jalla wa Ala, He descends to the lowest heaven and He asks, Allah Jalla wa Ala asks, who is there who is calling upon me that I may answer him? Who is there that is asking of me that I may give to him? And who is there who is seeking my forgiveness that I may forgive him? Okay, and so in reality, brothers, if you claim that you really want something, but you are not prepared to wake up in the last third of the night and ask for that thing, then this means that you don't actually want it that much. This means that you don't actually want it that much. Because there is a time, that golden moment, every single night where Allah descends and Allah is asking Himself and Allah is looking for people, Jalla wa Ala, to forgive. Allah is asking, who is there that is asking of me? Ikhwani, in reality, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive you from above His throne subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah Jalla wa Ala, if you call upon Him any other time, He will answer your dua. But there is a special mention of this last third of the night. When everybody else is sleeping, you're awake, you've abandoned your bed, you've left your bed and you're standing and you're prostrating and you're making dua to Allah Jalla wa Ala. That last third of the night is when the sleep is the sweetest. That last third of the night just before Salatul Fajr is like when the sleep, you're at the depths, the deepest part of your sleep. But you've left that and you are awake calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Here's a question for you. How does Allah descend, ikhwani? Because when it's the last third of the night here in England, then a few hours later it's going to be the last third of the night in the USA. And then an hour later in another part it's going to be the last third of the night. So constantly somewhere it's the last third of the night. So how is Allah Jalla wa Ala then in a constant state of descent?
The best response is the response of Imam Malik.
What did Imam Malik say? Do you remember when somebody asked him, how does Allah rise over the throne? Ar-Rahmanu ala al-Arsh istawa. That Allah Jalla wa Ala, the most beneficent, He has risen, He rose over His throne. A man came to Imam Malik and he said, how does Allah rise over the throne? What was the response of Imam Malik rahimahullah?
The rising is known in the language.
So the rising over is known in the Arabic language.
The how is unknown.
The how is unknown. How did Allah rise is unknown.
Believing in it is obligatory.
Believing in it is obligatory. Why? Because it's in the book of Allah and it's in the sunnah of the Prophet alayhi salam.
Asking about it is a bid'ah.
Asking about it is an innovation. Did the companions ask? Did the Messenger alayhi salam ask? No. So we take it as it comes in the book of Allah and in the sunnah, and we don't ask how. So how does Allah constantly in a state of descent? This question in and of itself, I was testing you, is an innovation. Believing in it is obligatory because it's narrated by Imam al-Bukhari and Imam Muslim. It reaches the highest level of authenticity. So believing in it, the descent is known in the Arabic language. We know what, even in our language, the nuzul, the descent is known in the Arabic language. And the hows, remember we said when we're talking about the names and attributes of Allah, how is the hand of Allah? What's the hand of Allah like? Allah mentions that He has a face. What's that like? Allah mentions, or the Prophet ﷺ mentions about the foot of Allah. Now, when you have a disease in your heart, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to say, or shaitan's going to whisper to you, you've made Allah like a man. But what you are then doing is you are taking parts of the book of Allah and you are neglecting parts. And that's when we said, and I emphasized to you, that the foundational ayah, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. There is nothing like Allah Jalla wa Ala. Allah is not like a man, Allah is not like this. But if He tells us about Himself that He has an attribute, or the Prophet ﷺ tells us that He has an attribute, it's upon us to accept it. Don't try and say, the hand of Allah is like my hand. No, 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 no. So we just accept it and we leave it there. Okay, ikhwan? So that was a trick question. Okay? But the point being, the dua in the last third of the night is answered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.